I'm trying to make millions and millions and millions of dollars a year in money that goes in my pocket, not just gross revenue. But that is not going to be easy, dude. Go get hired somewhere down at the Genealogy Association downtown or the archives. Go down there and get your salary. But if you're here to make money, you better get on this thing. This is where the money is. It is not in that black box right there. It's not a license to be stupid. Risk matters and we can make mistakes. Like when we're buying assets, I still try to evaluate a lot of our risk, but like one of my business partners is a CPA and then there's me. I don't make decisions based on money usually. I don't make decisions on what other people think. I make decisions about what I want to do when I get up this day. What you're looking at right in front of you every day affects where you're going to go more than any external decision.
What's going on, guys? Today we have Logan. Logan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I know you're doing a ton of deals in Texas. I kind of want to get into how you got into real estate in the first place. What brought you into this niche?
I was tired of being poor. I grew up in like middle-class family, but my dad had financial troubles at some point and it was just a mess, man. I didn't like that. I remember we got moved out of our house when I was getting off the school bus. The constable came and moved us out. So my dad didn't pay a seller finance note to his house that my grandma made the down payment for. And that was a shitty time. And that stuck with me forever. So between that and a few other things growing up, I thought, man, I got a shot at I got a chance to make that not ever happen to me anymore. And I went to the oil field, got a pretty good job, was earning a lot of money. But, I realized I've got to do something more of this money because I'm going to work for the same amount of dollars the rest of my life. And I'm not really going to get anywhere, I didn't feel like. So I started looking at real estate. I've known people that had done it. I always heard about people getting rich doing it. Really, the way most of them do it is they build a lot of wealth through a business and then deploy it in real estate so it multiplies. I guess I went the hard route and earned my money in real estate. But at the time, I was just earning a bunch of money in the oil field, living in a man camp, saving it all after taxes, or most of it. And I went to San Antonio, Texas, which is, outside of the oil fields. It was the closest big city where I was working a lot. And, I started buying these little vacant lots and I was concerned. I'd inherited about $1 million early on in my life when I was not clean and sober. So needless to say, that money didn't last. You'd be shocked how quick it could go. But at this point, I didn't want to lose any more money, man. I was working hard for it. I wanted to grow it. And I started buying these little vacant lots in downtown San Antonio, 5-10 grand a piece. And it was perfect timing. I couldn't have forecast any better, but the market exploded and they became worth massive multiples. One of them I bought for 10 grand, put $10,000 worth of stuff like surveys, and I went and changed the zoning and sold it for nearly $200,000. So there's a bunch of those that started to stack up. I was like, oh crap. And I got laid off in the oil field. At that point, I realized, okay, am I going to be a real estate guy or am I going to be an oil field guy? Well, you know the answer to that now.
That's awesome. What was your life like before investing? I know you talked about, not being sober, working in the oil field. What's the main obviously financial, freedom, I'm assuming, but what was the main difference in life quality before coming into real estate to now?
Well, I'll take it 2 steps back. Before I got in the oil field, I was not clean and sober. So I'm living in this house that I bought with inherited money, shooting heroin every day. That's what I did for nearly 10 years. So before that, I had a job. I lost the job because of that. Like that was my life. I had money in the bank. I'd re-up $700, $800, $900 every Saturday so I could get myself through the week. And I was just kind of living, and it was bad. Anyway, at that point, I got cleaned up. And after I'd been to rehab about my third time, went to the oil field, worked with a buddy of mine from college. And that was a really good place in my life because of where I've come from was so bad. At that point, I'm clean, I'm sober, I'm working, I'm getting confidence, stability. People are giving me like all these new responsibilities. I'm earning money. I feel like a real man now. Like I'm an adult, I'm a grown up and I'm like 25 or 27. But frankly, my quality of life hasn't changed a lot since that time. My freedom has remarkably changed. But, once you get to making a couple $100,000 a year, that's the biggest jump. You're not worried about paying the bills anymore. You can save a little money no matter what. That's the biggest part. You're not checking your bank account every time you're buying something at the gas station. That's the biggest change to me. Beyond that, today, our company does tens of millions of dollars every single year. We've got 150 to 170 units in inventory at all times that we're turning. I don't need money for the rest of my life at this point, but that just allows me to focus on what I care about. Like I enjoy coaching. I enjoy doing all these unique projects. I enjoy running this thing. I got 4 kids. I spend a lot of time with them. I have an awesome life. Like the freedom part was really cool. Yeah. So I live in a big ass fucking house, got a couple of cars, but that doesn't change like how I feel every day. The freedom does.
Yeah, that's awesome. First of all, proud of you. I know getting clean isn't easy at all, especially when you're, so far deep in it.
The junkies always die, dude. They go to jail or die. I made it.
Yeah, no, I'm proud of you for that, for sure. Of course. What does your business look like today? So going from, that to the oil field, kind of explain to the people listening, like, where is it now?
So there are 3 legs to this business, but the golden goose is distressed property acquisition. Basically, we're buying property with ownership, title problems, disputes among owners, lawsuits against the property, liens, judgments, breaks in the title chains, just stuff that can't sell through title insurance and then has title defects. That's what we buy. We clean up the problems and resell them for pretty good profits. We've got a commercial portfolio that's got office, industrial, and a little bit of industrial land. It's like warehousing, flex space, stuff like that. And then we've got a land development line. So we have a couple thousand lots under development from Dallas to Texas or from Dallas to Austin. We develop, entitle, and then we sell them to the big public builders and they go build houses on them. So there's 3 distinct lines in this business. The other 2, the cash flow portfolio and the land development I'm not very active in those. I mean, I've funded and participated, but there are people that run those. A partner of mine runs them. I have a significant ownership share. But the distressed property, that's what happens here every day. We have 25 people in this office. We have 3 lawyers, private investigative team, and retired FBI agents. Like, we go find people that nobody can find. And we fix the problems that nobody can fix, and we get to earn the money that nobody usually gets to earn.
That's awesome. And then I know you have a coaching piece as well, if you want to kind of touch on that piece
Yeah.
a little bit.
I don't know how I left that part out. So we coach 2 semesters a year. I figured out how to get what took us 10 years to build, distilled into a 4-month program. And our blind survey from last semester had 80% success rate from the blind respondents. Our job is to help them find not the most complicated deals like that we execute on all the time, but our job is to get the low-hanging fruit, teach them how to find those, solve the problems, and make money. Because most of them are coming from the land space, the house flipping space, the wholesaling space. And those spaces are getting tough right now. Compressed margins, fewer buyers, more competition. And they're just like, God, I got to fix this business. Well, why don't you not fix that business? Why don't you come do this business? You've had a great success right there.
Want to get motivated sellers that nobody knows about? Introducing 10x TV. If you want to create credibility in your market, find deals that nobody else knows about, and crush your competition, you need to check into TV commercials. It is the new buzz in the real estate investing industry since we introduced it several years ago. I've been using TV commercials myself for the last 12 years and it's absolutely crushed it. So if you want to learn how to get on TV and to do something that little to no people are doing right now, go to claimmymarket.com. Again, that's claimmymarket.com. We usually only work with 2 investors per market, so if you're interested, reach out to us and book a call to see if you can claim your market before anybody else does. Now back to the show.
So I know you started out with buying the vacant lots, but were you ever in that wholesale fix and flip realm and switched to what you're doing now? Or how did you get from buying the lots to where you're at now?
After I was buying those vacant lots, I resold a couple of them and brought back like surprisingly big profits. And I thought, whoa, let me get more of these. But there was a couple year period where I was going to the foreclosure auctions and buying property and listing them on MLS. This was early on enough in this last economic cycle that there was enough delta there that was worth it. So I do that. I was flipping a couple houses during those times. I was buying property from wholesalers. I didn't like house flipping because it was just a pain, and I just hated the process and the chasing people around and contractors and paint colors and shit like that. I hated it. But what I loved is buying property foreclosure auction and listing on MLS next week for a profit. Like, that was a no brainer. And then I would also build relationships with wholesalers, and wholesaling was really getting going at that time. And the experienced wholesalers, I couldn't do much deals with because I'd have to flip their houses to make money. The inexperienced ones would misprice and sell to me, or they would price it in a way where they left enough juice meat on the bone for me. And then I
Mm.
just buy it from them, pay their fee, and go put it on MLS. That's a that's a lot of where that went.
Hmm.
But
So
over time, as we did those, I started to find the best ones were buying these properties from owners who couldn't solve their problems or didn't know what to do for pennies, and then going through all the bullshit to fix it, the legal issues, the curative issues, and you still have normally significant margin there.
Hmm. So what was the main problem that you were trying to solve within the business to go from buying from wholesalers, putting it on the MLS, to finding the distress, the ones that nobody wants to touch? How'd you get from one to the other?
I think the problem was I would call wholesalers all day long, get a couple of good deals, but I wanted way more deals than they could give me. And it
Mm.
also, my business was dependent on other people. It's dependent on people getting deals, people being willing to price it how I wanted it. And at that point, I'm like, Also at the time, though, I'm going and buying from the auction. Another thing that was happening is hedge funds were starting to get involved. Interest rates were a little more acceptable, so investors were getting more aggressive. The internet was like changing the way investors learn quickly. So it really changed the entire market. Long story short, the bid prices were going up. And I
Mm,
would drive these properties before the auction to make sure this one's vacant, this one's nice. I'll pay this much for this one. I'd make all my notes. And I remember one time we'd get one house, two houses, three houses every month. Sometimes no houses, but usually we get something. And 2 months in a row, we got no houses. And I was so pissed. I'm like, dude, I need some more income. That next month, when I was driving around to the houses, I thought, why don't I just get out and knock? Going direct to seller was a big change. I got one of those deals that month and I didn't have to bid it. I offered them 5 grand above their debt, let them live there for a couple months because I got such a good deal. And then when they left, I just put it on MLS. And when that
mm,
happened, I thought I need to sole source, go direct. And then also in that time, some of the old vacant lots that I bought, I was reselling. They had some title problems that I didn't know about. I had to fix them. And as I fixed them, I learned it's not rocket science. So with those things happening in tandem, the best deals I did in 2017 were all title problems. At
mm.
that point, I was like, I think I know what I need to do going forward.
I love it. I love it. Why do you think so many investors overlook the messed up title space and trying to clear them versus just backing out or canceling contract?
Because it's a pain in the butt. They cannot go to YouTube and see how to wholesale, or they can go to YouTube and see how to wholesale. They can't go to YouTube and see how to fix extreme title problems. It's
Mm,
hard. You gotta figure it out. I had to go and pay lawyers by the hour and ask them questions, and they could never tell me what it was gonna cost to fix it, but I'd bounce questions off them, go try it, come back and bounce questions, go try it, pay the bill along the way. I was willing to take that risk, because I just how my personality was. So along that way, I would discover the solve. But a lot of people say, that's a lot of work. I'm like, well, so is having a business that doesn't work, and so is being poor, and so is being unsatisfied with yourself. Like, that's a lot of work too.
yeah. Yeah. What do you think the most like common misconception is from the difference between wholesaling or fix and flip or whatever on that part to the messed up title?
That it's too hard. Everybody thinks it's too hard because they get to watch our crazy videos on YouTube and Instagram, and we tell the crazy stories. But I try to be real clear so people don't miss this. 50 to 70% of our deals aren't the mega complicated ones. They're pretty darn low hanging fruit. A couple owners who don't get along, sometimes a single owner that just has a judgment or lien to get dealt with.
Mm,
We really focus on those because we get more margin from those than the mega complicated ones. Well, let me say it differently. You get more dollar per hour. The mega
right.
complicated ones, if they have massive margins. We did one that sold 2 months ago that we bought for $20,000, 7,000 out of pocket, sold it for a million in 17 days. And then we had to pay a $400,000 tax bill and another 20 something thousand to the seller. And the net profit was like $409,000. Those are the high risk, high work. It was a very complicated title issue, but shit only took 17 days of our time. Worth it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Now, a quick word from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by 10x TV, the secret weapon behind some of the most successful real estate investors in the country. Here's the deal: most investors are stuck cold calling, texting, or spending hours chasing low quality leads. But the smart ones, they're using TV commercials to flip the script. With 10x TV, motivated sellers are calling them already warmed up, already trusting them because they've seen them on TV. It's high credibility, high leverage, and way less hustle. This isn't a theory. The founder of 10x TV has been a real estate investor for the past 24 years, and TV has been his number one lead source since starting almost 14 years ago. Want to find out if your market's available? Go to 10xtv.co, no M, for a free marketing audit and see how TV can become your unfair advantage. Again, that's 10xtv.co. Logan, I know you talked about going direct to seller and really harping on that, changing the game. What are some of the key strategies you've seen with going direct to seller that is maybe different from buying from a wholesaler or any other means of not going direct to seller?
You know, you're gonna get the best deal that way usually, but it takes a little more time. So
Mm,
a lot of people like to use big data and dialers and fancy CRMs. And the challenge here, they're trying to make the job easier. And make no mistake, look, I'm trying to make millions and millions and millions of dollars a year in money that goes in my pocket, not just gross revenue. But that is not going to be easy, dude. Like everybody's gotten used to all these tools and stuff. And I don't want to say this to deter people. There are easy deals out there. We know how to find those, but you still have to put in a lot of work. We
Mm,
don't, we use incredibly complicated CRM. We use Salesforce, one of the best. We have a lot of great processes. We have data scrapers, all that crap. But when it comes down to calling people, we call people from our cell phones and we have a manual skip trace tool. We do not use a dialer. The information comes from the CRM to our phone. We do put in the work. And we tried every which way to use technology to get better at that. Maybe we're not good enough at technology, but we are definitely by far the most sophisticated and volumetric person or company that does what we do in the United States. I've never seen another like it at all. So maybe there's somebody better. They're hiding in a hole somewhere and they don't talk to anybody, but I can't find a faster way to speed this up. So people have to do the work. That's the tough part. But
mm.
if your goals aren't that ambitious, then, fire up a dialer, grab some data and see if you can get some low hanging fruit, maybe make a couple wholesale deals. You can replace your day job like that and go on and be happy. But if you have big ambition, you're going to have to do a little work. And going direct to seller is how you're going to make the bigger money, but it is going to take a little more work.
Hmm. What do you see mistake wise, like easiest mistakes that you think could be super easily avoided that investors make that you see on a daily basis from the coaching aspect?
Too much research.
Mm,
These deals can be complicated. They can have a lot of owners. They can have title problems. They can have stuff you got to find in the land records, the deed records, whatever. And some of these guys are afraid to get on the phone and they just dig into the deed records and want to build out this file. And that's their excuse for doing the research.
mm,
I pester them, man. Guys, you're digging around in those deed records. I'm calling and I'm earning money while you're researching. Is your job here to be a researcher? Go get hired somewhere down at the Genealogy Association downtown or the archives. Go down there and get your salary. But if you're here to make money, you better get on this thing. This is where the money is. It is not in that black box right there.
mm.
So I tell people the quicker you get that phone to ring, the quicker you're going to get some money, the quicker you're going to get that bank account to ding.
Yeah, yeah,
And that goes for people that are wholesaling or house fixing and soul sourcing too. That's not just our business.
yeah. I can definitely agree with that. What do you think separates a similar topic, but what do you think separates the top operators from everyone else in your opinion?
There are two things: the ability to act quickly. The other thing, I know some incredibly smart people. Some of my business partners have IQs probably significantly higher than mine, but I move quickly and I make decisions and I'm not afraid to go try something and it not work and try again. And there are guys that are just analytic and they're reanalyzing and they're figuring and they're doing all this and they're going to set it all up just right. They're still sharpening their pencil about the right market. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm over here at closing, getting a cashier's check, dude. I called him. He said he'd do it. I pieced it together. I didn't know the answer to the problems by the time he signed, but by the time we went to closing, I figured them out. So some of the wealthiest dudes I know are not the highest IQ at all,
Mm,
but they're willing. The other part is sometimes folks are so bright that they can't take a risk because they're terrified of all those potential risks out there. Well, you know what? Go out there and take a stab at it, mess some things up, do a couple things right, figure it out, but keep going and keep going fast. That's the wealthiest people I see. I know a guy who sold his company for $400 million in a land deal with me right now. The dude's pretty damn bright. I don't want to take anything away from him, but the guy does not mess around, dude. He makes a decision, he goes for it, and he's got his good gut instinct has done well for him. But man, he can charge forward better than anybody I know to the tune of 400 million bucks.
I've never heard someone talk about it as in that way, because when I think about it, the bright people, they think of all the ways it could go wrong. Whereas, I mean, I never went to college. I wouldn't say I'm the highest IQ in most rooms, but I am not afraid to try it. So I can definitely see what you're saying on that front of just it's almost like you turn a blind eye to what could go wrong. You're like, nah, it's not gonna happen.
You know, I want to be clear. It's not a license to be stupid. Risk matters and we can make mistakes. Like when we're buying assets, I still try to evaluate a lot of our risk, but like one of our business partners is CPA and then there's me. He comes up with every single risk potential possible and wants to have a solution for it and plan it all out and have a lessons learned and all that. I look at all those same things and I decide, are they going to sink us or not? And if some of this goes wrong, is it going to bankrupt the deal or are we going to at least break even and move on? He's looking to have zero risk. I'm looking to take some on because if you take zero risk, you're going to miss a lot of deals. And part of the
Right.
skill that I bring to the partnership is I pushed him to grow and get farther than he ever would have, I personally believe, on his own.
Mm.
But he also has taught me a lot about managing the risk so that I'm not quite as reckless as I was in the early days. So it's a nice balance of like, shoot first, ask questions later, but don't shoot the villager.
Mm. Yeah, I love it. And you kind of touched on this earlier, but I kind of want to go back to it in a sense. The word success, everyone's kind of got their own definition for it. Everyone strives for it differently, reaches for it differently, hustles for it differently. How do you define the word success in your life? How do you chase it every single day? And what would you tell other people that might not have the same ideal scenario as you, but still want to chase for that?
Success looks different to everybody. For me, success has put me in the point in my life where I don't do anything I don't want to do anymore. I don't make
Mm,
decisions based on money usually. I don't make decisions on what other people think. I make decisions about what I want to do when I get up this day. To me, that's more important. I don't need a helicopter. I can buy a plane. I don't need a plane. I don't need any of that stuff, dude. I want the complete freedom to do what I want to do. And I'm an independent man of everything else. That to me is the most
mm,
important. Now, it's nice to have extra money. And my wife wants that Hermes bag. Fuck it. You can have two or three. I don't really care. But that's not what it's about. Now, it's easy for me to say that when I have some money today. And when I didn't have money, what drove me is the fear of being poor. And interestingly enough, as I've gotten beyond that now, I've now understood that there's still these pieces of my personality. This is a little deep one. Here we go. But this is through the recovery process. I've learned how to dig deep. I learned that I'm still trying to prove to my dead dad that I'm good enough. And I know a lot of people are
mm.
afraid to admit those things and it's kind of scary, but that's when I wake up. And unfortunately, that's part of my personality. That's okay. I love when to
Yeah.
do this. That's what drives me. Everybody's got their own thing. And I'm not going to be the guy that says, I do this all for my family. No, I love my family more than anything in the world. And they have a great support system for this, but I do this from some internal defect that I have. That's why I'm hungry.
Mm.
How about
I
that?
first off, I appreciate you being, super deep and honest. I think a lot of people are like that. Even my father admits it now. He's like, yeah, I do most of what I did and what I've done because he was the youngest child, and so am I. I'm the youngest child. I saw my sister go to college and asked my parents for everything, and I was like,
Mhm.
Mom, good. So yeah, I 100% can see that. What do you think? Kind of switching topics here, going back to what you're seeing in real estate right now.
Mhm.
You said earlier that wholesale fix and flip uh, has gotten really challenging. It's gotten really, a lot of people are in it. What do you think the biggest challenge in real estate is right now in the market currently?
The market's soft and interest rates haven't gotten low enough to motivate things. It's a really complicated thing, but I try not to get too deep into it. You know, the dummies of the world, which in my world, I would call me that when it comes to sophistication about economy. I go look at the MLS. Days on market are way up. House prices are way down over time, and inventory is built way up. That's all I need to know, man. That's what drives my whole damn business, which drives my whole life. I know that we've got to do a model that has plenty of room for safety, has the ability to carry assets longer than most people. So that's why we don't use a lot of debt. You got to get through that. You've got to be able to lower pricing a lot. And that's what gets us through that those trouble. I could care less who's a president today, although I have my own opinions. It doesn't change how I behave in business. I think what you're looking at right in front of you every day affects where you're going to go more than any external decision. Even in shredded, slaughtered markets, people are finding ways to make money and opportunity and doing okay. Now, all boats
Mm,
rise with the tides. When the market's hot, we all look better. But I don't know, man. I mean, the market's messed up right now. And I don't know. I thought with our current president, the administration up in Washington, I thought we were going to be have a pop and rocking economy right now. Well, it's not happening. I don't know what's going to happen next, man. I don't know either. But I know that we're going to show up here. We're going to continue to do something that works. And if we have trouble with it, we're going to pivot and keep going. And we're going to keep being happy about that and do good. That's my
Yeah.
best answer on the market right now.
I love it. I love it. I wanna challenge you with a question. So let's say the business completely goes away. You're gonna start from scratch. I'll give you all the knowledge that you've accumulated over the years. You can keep that. But the business itself goes away. All the deals you're doing right now go away. The partnerships you have go away. You're just on your own. What would you do? What would you focus on first to rebuild?
Well, the good news is I built this the right way. So I got to clarify on your question. Do I get to keep my brokerage accounts? Do I get to keep all my retained earnings and my cash that I have? Or does that go away with the business? Because that's separate. That's personal. That's out of the business. Do I get to keep all that or not? Because if so, I'm going to live off interest for the rest of my life and I don't give a fuck about all this work stuff.
Yeah, we'll take the money away just because that's
Okay.
kind of an easy answer for sure.
If I don't get to rely on that, but that's an important decision. People need to think about that as they're growing. Do you need 2 Ferraris because you can afford it, or do you need that Phantom because you can afford it, or do you need to build your moat and protect yourself and your family? So if you have problems, that's why I bring that up. Not to say, look at me, but I, because if you look in our parking lot, you don't see you see nice cars, but not that kind of stuff. So that's
Mhm.
why I bring it up. But I haven't actually touched a real estate deal in many years. I mean, our office does it. I answer legal and strategic questions daily. Outside of that, I'm not talking to sellers. I'm not paying off taxes. I'm not doing that anymore. But I'm 100% certain right now, if you tossed me in a different city, living in an RV, and gave me a budget of $1,500 a month to get by, I would get the delinquent tax list or the mortgage foreclosure list in that county. I would find the zip code that has the most, and I would go walk to all those houses, one after the other, and knock and make them offers.
Mm.
I know for a fact within, depending on the amount of resources I have, between 7 and 14 days, someone would sign a contract with me. I would figure out who to sell it to within the next week or 2. I bet within 30 days, I could have 20 or $30,000 in my checking account, and then I would decide, do I wanna build all this again or not? But at least I can pay the bills for 4 or 5 months living cheap like this, and let me figure it out.
I love it. I love it.
Remember what I said. At this point, the money's great to have for stability, but it's not what creates happiness. Once you get enough of it, you do realize that it does fix problems, but it isn't where your joy does come from. And I've now learned that by going through it. So I ask myself, if I did sell off all this, what would be the next answer? Would I build it all again? I don't know. And everybody says, I'm gonna build it. Y'all rebuild. Maybe I would, maybe I won't. I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess you wouldn't know until you're in the position for sure.
No. But I might wake up and think of my deceased dad and get back to work. We'll see.
Yeah. I asked someone that same question the other day, and he was like, "Well, to be honest with you, I wouldn't do real estate again." He was like, "I would do anything else, but I would put money into it, but I wouldn't start the business again." And I was very intrigued by that answer, and
What did he
intrigued
do
that
in
he
real
what was that?
what did he do in real estate?
He's a fix and flipper and
Yeah, that's
wholesaler.
why he
Yeah.
said that.
Yeah, fair enough. You've been very honest, very deep with us. I appreciate that. Well, what would something people would be surprised to learn about you?
Dude, I've laid it all out there. I got nothing else.
I know. You've anything
Somebody help.
new that we haven't heard of?
Oh, man, you're gonna make me think. Sheesh, I don't know, man. I run a couple miles every day. I got 4 kids. My wife's first generation American. She moved here from Panama when she was 9. She's got a Miami Social Security card because that's where she got nationalized. We have a pretty mixed family when it comes to South Americans and, Europeans. Gosh, I don't know, man. I'm out of
Oh,
bright ideas.
I wanna key into the running thing. A lot of people don't like to run, myself included. I'll run when I need to.
If the cops are
It's
chasing you.
well, yeah, or if it's included in a sport, I'm a big sports guy, but when it comes to like running to run, is it like what's your motivation to run? Do you enjoy running, or is it more of like I don't? Because I know a lot of people that run a lot and they do it because they hate it, but then when they're done with it, they're like, "Wow, I accomplished!" Like, what do you genuinely enjoy running, or what's the?
I don't really love running. I dislike running less than I like sitting still. When I was a kid, I
Mm,
would ride my bike, like, at 15 years old across town, like, 10 miles, 15 miles. Like, I just like to move, man, and that's a good way to do it. I don't know. I like it.
awesome, cool. Who do you think's been the biggest influence on you in your journey in real estate?
I have a couple of people. My wife, she's been really, really supportive of all this stuff I want to do. She never says, no, don't do it. She's like, that's the best idea. You're going to be the greatest. Go do it.
That's
And
awesome.
thank God it always works out so far. My business partner, Bill, we're radically different personalities and we've been through ups and downs over the last 10 plus years doing this business. We've held it together. I've learned so much from him. I know he has from me. That's a really neat thing. I love Dale Carnegie. I love one of his books, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's a big one. I love that. I don't know. Those are good influences.
Awesome. I know you have a big, event coming up in end of January. I'd love for you to kind of touch on that a little bit. Who is the right person to be there? Who needs to be there? Who could probably get some use out of it?
Yeah.
When it is, where it is, all that good stuff.
If you care about real estate at all, you should come. People that are having a hard time with their fix and flip business, wholesaling, they're making seller finance notes, mobile homes. Man, I've had people leave like apartment syndication businesses to come do this. That I hate to use the word event because it seems like one of those speaker events where all these people get up and like tell you how good they are and try to sell you their stuff. We set it up from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. as a full day training. We literally go through how I started the model, what it looks like, what a solo operator to a shop looks like. And then we'd go through acquisitions, research, finding people, making offers. I have two attorneys that speak on legal and litigation and then estate matters. We talk about dispo and then we talk about business running. You have a Q&A panel at the end. These people are all from my operation. It's not
Mm.
people from all over the industry just to get the crowd. It is us. We teach people what we do. It's awesome. Anyway, it's January 31st. It's in Scottsdale, Arizona. And if you can't make it in person, we also have a virtual option so you can watch it from wherever you like. It's the same price as a pair of shoes, man. I don't know how to make it any more reasonable or encouraging for people.
And it's just a 1 day event or a 2 day event. Sorry, I missed that.
There are options. We have a VIP dinner the night before. We have a general admission. Then we have an entire day that's a smaller group for VIP the second day. We do have that. I think I encourage people, even if you like your real estate business, dude, pay the $500 and show up because I promise you will walk away with at least something that will earn you multiples of that $500. You will question what it is you're doing. Something will be better about your business. And even if it's not about directly real estate, I built a special thing and I've got an interesting perspective. And so do my business partners. You'll take business advice away from it as well. By the way, I have Brad Lee speaking there for an hour before lunch. So we have a really good lineup. Carlos Reyes, who's a pretty prolific wholesaler, he's going to be part of the VIP event the second day. Those are the two outside people we have. Outside of that, it's all us, man.
Awesome. I love it. Love it. Well, cool. Where can people learn more about you? Where can people find you? If someone is curious to learn more, where can they go?
I'd send people to Facebook. My name, Logan Fulmer. You can see it here. Dump it into Facebook. It's Logan Bentley Fulmer on there. There's a lot out there, man. We spend a lot of effort going there. You can go,
Awesome.
oh, you know what? You can now go to YouTube. We have a fresh account. We're about 10,000 subscribers. We're starting to grow, but I have a podcast, Dirty Deeds, where we talk about the dirty real estate problems we fix. That's where they need to go, right there.
Awesome. Awesome. Love it. Well, Logan, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for coming on and look forward to seeing where this goes.
Yeah, you got it. I enjoyed it. Thanks.
Awesome.